The Conjuring Last Rites has ushered in the final chapter of Ed and Lorraine Warren's demon hunting journey. Or has it? Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Colton Ogburn, and the Warrens are back at it again, perhaps in the most pivotal case of their entire career, coming face to face with the very first demon they ever encountered, a demon that they let get away. So we're going to break down this movie and all of its cameos, Easter eggs, and hidden little details. We'll also explain the ending of the film, the deeper meaning, and discuss what's next for the Conjuring universe. So the Warrens have had over 1,000 cases, and it's important to remember that they aren't ghost hunters, they are demonologists. Undead spirits, aka ghosts, are pretty harmless in the Conjuring universe. It's the non-human, evil entities that are the real threat. These demons present themselves in forms that extract fear, such as the blasphemous appearance of the nun, or whatever the entity determines is the greatest fear of its prey. These entities attach themselves to objects as well, like the Annabelle doll.
A very powerful demonic has latched itself onto her.
So when we pick up with the Warrens, we learn that they have retired from demon hunting. It would appear that following the events of the previous film, when a very powerful demon was able to give Ed a heart attack, Lorraine convinced Ed that it was time for them to hang up the crucifix. Why? Because she was scared that she would lose Ed. This leads to the Warrens turning down many cases of desperate people who really needed their help, all because Lorraine was unwilling to risk her husband's life. The same was true when their daughter, Judy, was attacked in the womb by another demon, resulting in a stillbirth. Following that incident with Judy, the Warrens abandoned that entire mirror case. They never went back to the antique store, they never checked in on the shop owner, they ran away because the risk was too great. Mirroring exactly what they are doing here with being afraid that Ed would lose his life. Now, after they nearly lost Judy as a baby, they didn't stop demon hunting entirely. They took on many more cases following that near loss. So Lorraine did not allow her fear to keep her from helping others, but she did allow that fear to push her to shelter her daughter, shelter her from her own gift of clairvoyance. Now, Lorraine couldn't bring herself to ignore her gift or allow her fear to keep her from helping others, but she was happy to train her daughter to push down and bury her inherited gift of clairvoyance. Instead of Lorraine encouraging Judy to embrace that gift or leaving the decision up to Judy, Lorraine insisted that Judy just run from that gift instead of facing it head on. And that is the key theme behind this film and really all of the Conjuring films, facing your fears. These demonic entities in all the films feed off of fear. That's why they fuck with people so much. They prey on that fear. It makes them stronger and it makes their victims weaker. Now, throughout the Conjuring films, Judy has always been around, but in the background. Well, apart from Annabelle Comes Home, where Judy was actually the lead.
The evil has been contained.
But now, in this fourth installment of the mainline Conjuring films, Judy, for the first time, is taking on a leading role. And it's poetic that the character of Judy is now graduating to a leading role for this fourth chapter and is no longer the little girl left behind at home and sheltered by her parents. She is now a grown woman, making her own choices and getting right into that fight and paving her own path to continue the Warren legacy. Now, I also thought it was a nice touch that they reminded us that Judy, even as a child, hates dolls. Understandably so. This disdain for dolls, and the demon of this movie even taking on the form of Annabelle, that was meant to represent not only Judy's fear of dolls, but Judy being sheltered by her parents and still treated like the child we all know from previous films, instead of being seen as the grown and independent woman she is, and an adult who is ready to not only leave the nest and get married, but also ready to embrace her clairvoyance, despite Lorraine training her to push those powers down and ignore them. Now, Lorraine does this out of a love for her daughter. She doesn't want Judy to have the same awful and near-death experiences as she and Ed have had. But there's also, of course, the selfish angle to it, where Lorraine doesn't want to have to go through the pain of losing her daughter. But what Lorraine is failing to see is that by doing this, she is also depriving Judy of that joy and that feeling of purpose that she and Ed feel every time they save a family from evil. And I really love that they give us this juxtaposition between Lorraine and Ed when it comes to Judy wanting to get married. Lorraine is the more accepting and encouraging one when it comes to Judy Judy and Tony getting married, while Ed, in typical dad fashion, is hesitant to give his blessing. But what Lorraine doesn't realize is that she too, perhaps even more so than Ed, is holding Judy back for the same reasons as Ed, protecting her little girl who isn't so little anymore. Now, all of these Conjuring movies are loosely, very loosely, based on so-called true stories. This specific movie is based on the Smurl Haunting in Pennsylvania. The Smurl family alleged that they began experiencing supernatural disturbances in their home.
Spooky.
Doors opening and closing on their own, bad smells, stuff being thrown around, and even their dog being hurled against a wall like we saw in this movie. They also alleged that they were SA'd by the demon. Now, this case drew extensive media attention with nightly press coverage and even a book. The Warrens, they stepped in to investigate, and they claimed to have confirmed the presence of 4 spirits, 3 ghosts and 1 demon. Again, like in the movie where we see the demon is using those 3 ghosts, similar to how Valak used Bill Wilkins in Conjuring 2. So the real-life case allegedly ended with a local pastor claiming to have expelled the demon through prayer, and the Smurl family moved away, and then later occupants of the home never reported any weird things happening. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds on whether or not this family was full of it, and whether or not the Warrens are charlatans. That's not what this video is about, and honestly, when I watch these movies, I don't watch them as retellings of true stories. I watch them as awesome fan fiction, because that's what they are. The characters and stories in these movies are so different from the real people that they're loosely based on. And these movies are really their own thing that has taken on a life of their own. I mean, the real Smurl case, for example, had nothing to do with Judy Warren or even a haunted mirror. That all comes from the very talented creatives behind the film. Now, speaking of that mirror, I thought there was something really cool about the demon in the movie being attached to a mirror, because the film, at its core, is about the Warrens having to face themselves. Lorraine facing her fear of letting her daughter grow up and embrace her gift, Ed facing his fear of letting Judy grow up and get married and have a life not under his thumb, and of course Judy facing her lifelong fear of her clairvoyant powers. It was also a nice touch that there are 3 Warrens taking on this mirror with 3 heads on the top. It's almost as if this confrontation between the Warrens and the demon within the mirror was prophesized.
Does it come in 3s?
Now, we have seen throughout the Conjuring films and their spin-offs that these objects that have been touched by demonic entities not only attract other entities, but they also seem to follow their victims. In Annabelle, we saw the Annabelle demon find its way back to the Annabelle doll it once resided in many years prior. That demon seemingly orchestrated the doll to find its way back to a house right across the street from the home of the human girl the demon lived in for years. The nun demon Valak also found its way back to the Warrens after encountering them years prior as well. And the same is true for the mirror demon, which faced off against the Warrens and temporarily killed their baby. But then, by divine intervention, their baby was spared, and the pain the demon wished to inflict on the Warrens, a pain that demon intended to feed on, that pain was stomped out, and the demon was denied that feast. But it's been waiting for decades and laying a path that would lead the Warrens back to it so that it could finish what it started, and then cause that pain and feed on it. And you know, when the demon killed Father Gordon, I was thinking it did that because it feared Gordon bringing help from the church. But I also thought to myself, oh man, that demon done fucked up, because killing Father Gordon is what would draw the Warrens out of retirement. But as we later come to realize, the demon killed Gordon because it wanted to lure the Warrens there. So anyway, I love these movies, even the not so great ones, but this one really did feel like a return to form. There were some great scares, great performances, they're always shot really well, which I appreciate, and there was also some fun cameos at the end of the film at Judy's wedding, where we see creator of this series, James Wan, as well as previous families from the past Conjuring films that the Warrens have helped, such as the Perrons from the first Conjuring movie, the Hodgsons from the second Conjuring, and even little David from The Devil Made Me Do It. So this movie in many ways was about the Warrens' legacy, and while this wasn't the last case like the marketing of the film suggested, it very well may be the last movie featuring Ed and Lorraine as the leads. But I do anticipate that we'll be getting more installments with Judy and Tony continuing to help people literally face their demons. In the movie, we see Judy learn to embrace her fear of her gift and use it for good. And despite Tony having wanted to help people in his former role as a cop, he now has found a new way to grow beyond his fear of losing his life and now helping others by serving as Judy's support system, the same way that Ed has always done for Lorraine. And I love that corny little scene at the end where we see Ed throw the keys to the artifact room to Tony. And you know, hopefully in these next few installments with Judy and Tony, maybe in the second or third one, we can see Ed and Lorraine come back in to help. But hey, those are just my thoughts and theories. I would love to hear yours down in the comments below. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.